if somebody of Quant watches this, you can make this a lot more active. That'd be pretty great. I know there's a lot of people from the community, at least more people from the community that are actually building stuff. Thinking of Quanterscan, and I heard from Quanterscan that there's other people also diving in more and more. So maybe it's an idea to feature some of these projects, maybe even do some interviews. Ladies and gentlemen, Quamrats, welcome to episode 5 of the Quamfy Show. Today, we are packed with updates from Quant updates. And it's pretty amazing to see, as you can see in the title, that the Quant developer Twitter is active again. That has been a while. And, well, if you watch this show for a bit, we're actually talking about this last couple of episodes, that it's been pretty quiet on the developer front, it seemed. On the back end, it appears they have been working. There have been updates. They just haven't been published yet. So we're going to have a look on those updates today. Also, SoeleneJustus, the marketing person for Quant, is pretty active on Twitter. She also follows the Quamfy Show, apparently, which is pretty cool. She also had something to say as to the latest update. We'll get to the contents of that in a bit. We're going to look at price. And after price, we have a look at what Tim wrote. Tim made a new article. You can find the link in the description. It's published on our blog part of the website. And there is a nice, happy, accidental, coincidental coincidence between that Andrew's article on their marketing strategy when it came to Sybos and the term staking. So we will look at that as well. And at the same time, right now on our Twitter, there is a poll going around and we need your opinion. So be sure to check that out. We'll leave the link to the tweet in the description if we remember. And your contributions are very much appreciated. If you're clicking, do also click the subscribe of abonneren. If you're Dutch, make sure to leave a comment and a like, all that good stuff. And let's get cracking. So Tim, brother, how's life?
How's life? Pretty well. We just moved on. It's another boring week somewhere in February. I'm still not assigned to a new job, so it's not. I'm still employed. I'm still getting my money. I'm just getting passive income for doing nothing at the moment, which is kind of weird. Because I'd rather be assigned to a task right now and just work for whoever. But that's still a waiting game, I guess. So I could work a little bit on, the Quamfy Show, the website, write a new blog.
You're finally getting paid to work on the Quamfy Show. That's the deal right now.
Yeah, I mean, they pay pretty well, I must say. No, but I've just been, it's been time for hobbies, and I'm just finding peace with myself.
Yeah.
Pretty chill, actually. It could be worse. So all is good. I think the market is also doing well, if I'm looking at it.
Really? Well,
I mean, it's not too terrible, really. And yeah, I don't know. It's just chill. It feels like.
Are you shitcoin peddling, Tim? Because
I'm not. I'm definitely not. I am. No, and to start with that, I'm still really curious for whatever Galileo is doing. If we're talking about shitcoins, though, they have not that they are shitcoins, but. Really, sorry, shot fired. No. But I'm really. Oh dear.
Medic!
Oh dear. It's gonna be an episode like this. No, but they will announce their new token distribution this week. Yeah. So I'm really looking forward to that, actually, and let's see what that will bring. So yeah, life's pretty chill, I guess, and lots of good stuff going on in the background, and we'll have to see. How are you?
Doing well enough. Went to the, how do you say, emergency room this morning. My daughter, Kita, she fell in the playground. I mean, she's 5 years old. She's supposed to fall. It was only the second time that she had a nick in her head. Like when she was way younger, she nicked her eyebrow. Today she had like this big bump and the thing. got glued, and everything is fine. So that was a well, not all too cool start of the day, but no, man. Besides that, I'm doing well. Enjoying myself in Elder Scrolls Online, doing the family thing, staying at home daddy, getting more and more used to that every week, which is also nice. And I'm happy with what Quant is doing. I'm almost always happy with what Quant is doing, but I think there's a lot of very, very bullish, in my opinion, developments going on. One of them is obviously the first topic of this video, the developer Twitter being back. I think that's a good sign. That has been dormant for quite some time, and them picking that up again, I think it's a lot. Gives me a warm and fuzzy feeling inside.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, no, all in all, doing pretty well. I was pretty excited to go do an English Quamfy show again.
Yeah.
And I think the show is pretty packed. The markets themselves, I don't know if I'm as positive as you are. We'll get to that in the middle of the show. If you want to jump ahead, there's timestamps everywhere.
Yeah, sure.
Make use of them if you want. Oh yeah, shitcoins. I almost got sucked in. I'm in this terrible shitcoin project called Crypto Strike.
Oh yeah.
That they had a terrible launch, and something went wrong with the market making, and the coin got cloned, and the sell price was wrong, and it was a shit show. So they decided to halt full liquidity and then begin all over again. Just a really short version. It's going to be a play to earn version of Counter-Strike, so global offensive. So I thought it was interesting. So I threw in a little bit of cash, and in the end, only 55 investors remained or something like that. But that's not what I was on about. There was a guy who's in there, and he was like, "Yeah, dude, I got this other project. Maybe you want to check it out." I almost got sucked in there, and then I read the white paper, and it was more like reading a comic book, where the utility was actually just only how to make coin number go up, burn mechanics already, how do you say, programmed from the beginning.
No utility, no use case.
Yeah, it was just terrible, terrible, terrible. And when I told those guys, maybe you want a rose they had. Maybe you want a shieldy in your Telegram group to keep the bots out. They're like, no, we got a plan to deal with bots when the sale starts. I'm like, okay, but why would you want to wait? And then it dawned on me, and it could very well be that they wanted to have a full chat, etc., so that they let the bots maybe bleed in deliberately. I don't know. It's it just more red flags than China to me.
That sounds wonderful.
Like, yeah, I was like, no,
project.
I need to get the fuck out of there. Oh yeah, and a separate will group for people that invest big, so they have more influence over the project. I was like, gave me shivers down my spine. Anyway, there's a lot of those projects pumping apparently.
Because we're like Will Room. Is that still a thing? Like Will Room? That was
Will Room is still there. Yeah.
But yeah.
I don't know if it's I am in there. Not sure if it's still active. I haven't seen it because everybody is right now guppy room probably. Everybody's scared out of their minds still. There's a lot of disbelief everywhere. I'm curious if we're actually in that phase of the market. We will see. But yeah, now we'll get the price in a bit. Shall we have a look at what's been going on?
Sure. No gaming. Last minute, no gaming highlights. Nobody wanted to join you with all this.
No, man. I'm playing solo on my my Stam Sork PvE werewolf build.
Honestly, I kind of feel your struggle right now because, well, I'm the only one, like pretty much everyone in my environment is kind of working or busy during daytime, and I'm gaming on my own, and that's fine. I mean, I can do like story modes and stuff, but it's different. Like, rather play with friends. Anyway, hey, let's kick it off. I mean, it's kind of Quamfy Show content in a way. If we all join the Quamfy Retirement Club, then we'll be playing on our own. So I think we need to
hashtag QRC21, baby.
I think we need some kind of QRC21 Discord where all the retired people can game together in the future. Okay, let's go into the.
All right. So as you can see, Quant Developers. Hi, we've been quiet for a while, making great things happen. So here's an avalanche, wink, wink, of release notes, which is pretty funny. And then they got the Overledger release notes, and we'll dive into those for a bit. I am curious to see when their last activity. They have 10K followers. That's decent. So 4 hours ago, and the last one was November 23rd, November 2nd, October 24th. So they have only been posting updates, and they hadn't posted anything effectively since December. I do hope they will be sharing other stuff than just
updates.
Just the updates. Yeah, that would be amazing. If you is dev, then Quant Developers include you. So yeah, if somebody of Quant watches this, you can make this a lot more active. That'd be pretty great. I know there's a lot of people from the community, at least more people from the community that are actually building stuff. Thinking of Quanterscan, and I heard from Quanterscan that there's other people also diving in more and more. So maybe it's an idea to feature some of these projects, maybe even do some interviews with people, like really short ones. So what are you doing? What do you want to do? What do you want to create? What are you running into? Whatever, something like that. I think that could be pretty epic, because then you will be spotlighting the community that you will be needing to build your shit for the future.
Exactly.
So maybe that's an idea. I don't know. I also think that, and I'm looking on the website here, right? Galileo protocol. Maybe it's interesting to get some of those companies using your tokenized product, etc. For maybe short interviews, maybe rack up a YouTube, and try and get some traffic going. And I know you're not catering to crypto, and we'll get to that in a bit. But yeah, the first end apps will likely come from our community. So just a bit of feedback.
Yeah.
On our end. Yeah, Tim, go.
I mean, yeah, that's kind of interesting, right? They could use this, and I think they kind of intend to do so. Use this account and also the Telegram chats to kind of engage with the people building on Overledger. But yeah, I can also imagine that that's not necessarily your first priority if you have limited resources.
For sure.
But it's nice to see them back. Sure. And well, I think we need to kind of briefly go into the updates. And then just for the sake of clarity,
what I wanted to add, by the way, is I spoke with Quant Updates regularly. Good old Bus is behind this, friend of the show, part of our core team. He's been providing them with a lot of valuable feedback, and I won't go into details. That's not for me to do. But he has provided a lot of value to Quant as being a quote unquote end user or a developer. I don't know how you want to call that. But I think if they can expand on their army, quote unquote army of developers motivated to work for them, even though they could be complete noobs like myself. If the support is kind of there, that would motivate a lot of people, and it could actually expedite potentially the development of their products. So anyway, Tim, as you said, our good old conductor, where that's a conductor, right? Somebody who orchestrates the music.
Yeah.
Moving to the update. So the first one that they hadn't released and they released just now is Overledger release 2.2.21. That's 21. It adds more functionality for the QRC721 token and the QRC20 token APIs. You can now monitor smart contract events for their QRC721 token and receive updates directly to a callback URL. So, what is in there is in the release notes, so you can find that in the tweet. It's in the tweet itself. I'm trying to click, but every time I get the Zoom pop-up. Let's block that away. What is this? Oh man, and I doxed my entire life once again. Proper preparation and planning prevents piss poor performance.
Hey, but while you were
fucking about, computer, yeah.
And well, me having zero technical skills, just to make it clear, we didn't necessarily know about these updates, right? So we were living under the perception that nothing was being done in terms of the fortnightly release schedule, the bi-weekly releases that they do, so every 2 weeks. But they've done that, and if you look at the timeline, they have been actually pushing out updates every 2 weeks. For some reason, though, we weren't aware of it.
Yeah, it was not available on their website, and it could very well be because this is about QRC 721. This one is also QRC 721. So that's like the Quant interoperable multi-chain version of NFTs, right?
Yeah.
This is also just technical. As you can see, there's not much going on. It's just the sandbox and production API stuff, and that's it. The same for the third one, QRC20 token APIs. There's not much in there. And I know from a source that somebody has given them feedback on what the fuck do these updates even mean. and that could have been potentially the trigger for them not releasing them anymore. Because as you can see, the three, so technically from November the 23rd, right? That leads into December second week-ish. And so that's update number one. That's this one. Then you got 2 weeks after that. That's right before Christmas. That will bring you here. And then we got like past
New Year's.
Christmas recess, past New Year's. So then we have this one somewhere mid-January. That would be like what? Yeah, mid-January. And then this would then be
beginning of February.
Beginning February-ish. Yeah. And before we get to that,
I think it even aligns. I think the last update was on the 15th of February. And then that would mean that the next update would be like 1st of March or last day of February.
Yeah.
Lines perfectly, you know.
So there have been bi-weekly updates, but yeah, they were just secret. So SoeleneJustus, if you're not following her, give her a follow. She's a happy one, apparently. Cryptic growth. Look, this is emojis, right? For the people listening. What's this? This is a sprout growth mountain global. We now support Avalanche, AVAX, developer of Quant Network, /docs/Quant over blah blah blah, and that's where it brings us to. These are the release notes 2.2.24, and what I noticed straight off the bat is that they changed. Apologies. They changed the formatting. So as you remember from the last 3 very clinical Overledger updates, this one starts with the what's new. Then we have a bunch of logos, crypto companies. We're getting to that in a bit. Then we're getting this. What this means for you. To me, that's really interesting because I cannot remember that I've seen that at all, or at least recently. And they just use pretty plain language, in my opinion, to describe what they're doing. Then we're getting how you can benefit, which is also interesting because that's boiling down it even further, not making assumptions about the knowledge level. And obviously they could go in more depth. They didn't, which is fine. These are just release notes. And then they got some links and etc. So this is a lot more, in my opinion, oriented towards the more common folk, or maybe enterprise people that just lurk and don't want to get how do you say, demotivated from all these crazy tech updates.
I mean, it's still technical. It's just a bit more readable, legible to make it. Purely, hey, we've done this code and now this is new, and you can read the full details here.
Exactly. Let me read it for a bit. So, Overledger 2.2.24, introducing avalanche support and enhanced monitoring functionality for QRC tokens. What's new? From today, the complete list of Overledger APIs can now run on the Avalanche network. And Quant's chain-agnostic tokens and smart contracts can now be deployed on Avalanche C-Chain. These product enhancements mean that our users can now connect to up to 9 different networks. And then we see the logos, right? So we see from left to right, and Tim, jump in whenever I get lost. Ethereum, Bitcoin, Hyperledger Fabric, Hyperledger Bisu, not XRP, but Ripple. That was Polygon. The next one.
Yeah, that's Polygon, and then you have Polkadot, then you have XTC, and then you have Avalanche.
Yeah.
So and I think next to Hyperledger, that was. Sorry.
Yeah, and I spoke to Counterscan. He's like, okay, I'm pretty surprised that Hyperledger Bisu is in there, because technically Hyperledger Bisu was never officially released for Overledger Public. And we always assumed that these updates pertain to Overledger Public mainnet, right? And not to the enterprise side of things. So this could mean a couple of things. One, it's always been there and they just never promoted it because it wasn't interesting to the public. Could also very well mean that what we hoped, what we've been speculating on, is that there could be a merger between Overledger Enterprise and Overledger Public eventually taking place, so that the support and everything will be merged, and there will just exist one Overledger network. Why? Because if you talk about distributed ledger networks, right, DLNs, you need the permission to be on that network anyway. You cannot simply access every part like you can with the internet. So you could very well, in my opinion and my limited knowledge, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, put everything on the same Overledger and just push updates for both at the same time, and they can both exist in the same Overledger. So this is just speculation, obviously. But it's interesting because what you see here is, for the vast majority, quote unquote, crypto companies, right? And why this is interesting, we'll get to that in the end. Hyperledger Fabric is obviously private enterprise grade Ethereum and Hyperledger as well. Or am I mistaken now? I'm not very good. I spoke to Boss about this. I need to fucking read up on all the enterprise versions of everything.
I'm sorry, where's Corda here?
Yeah, it's not in there. I don't know why. That's why it's double interesting, triple interesting. R3, right? Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, the rest of the release notes. So the Avalanche platform was designed to address some of the scalability issues faced by Ethereum and other blockchains. It offers a unique architecture that follows fast and efficient transactions with near instant finality and an eco-friendly consensus mechanism. We are also enabling enhanced monitoring for debit, credit, and approval on QRC tokens. What this means for you, given the increasing adoption and tokenization development on C-chain and its superior speed, we are now offering our users access to Avalanche smart contract chain to enable the creation of any Ethereum-compatible applications and assets. In addition to deploying your QRC tokens on Avalanche testnet, called Fuji, and Avalanche mainnet, called C-chain, you can now build your applications with Overledger API functions that were available for Ethereum. Example API actions available from today are creating AVAX, the native currency on Avalanche, transactions, searching, monitoring activity on an address, and more. How you can benefit. Tokenize will display the Fuji testnet and C-chain mainnet as options for token creation and deployment. And then we're getting the full list of APIs documented, can be found here. You can click on the link following the following are changes to monitoring smart contract events for QRC20 tokens. This is all pretty sophisticated, but you can get updates when token is credited, debit approval, credit QRC20, and act on behalf of another account for QRC20. So these were all in the previous layout tier 3 functionalities, which is interesting because we have never ever heard back from if there's ever going to be a tier 3 and tier 4 once again. So maybe they just dropped that. I don't know. I know for a fact that only tier 1 and 2 are available for licensing right now. We made an episode about this, prices ranging from 9,600 to 18K per annum,
Yep.
which is steep, but you get the full support of Quant apparently. I do not know what the status of Galileo is anymore. I know that they wanted the QRC20, or they bought it for their Leox token, which will be going on public listing pretty soon. Same with a Uniswap listing. So they cannot go there if they do. They could technically go there without QRC20, but I think they won't because there's not really any rush for them. But that's all contingent on Tokenize being ready.
Yeah, and it could also very well be just an intern who missed Corda in this picture. I mean, you don't know. It could also be that these small mistakes there are many
wouldn't put it past Quant.
Yeah. Anyway, I mean, interesting stuff, and I think it will just kind of crystallize in the future. But it's nice that you see some kind of development going on, because we've been in radio silence since December. And
November 23rd was their last.
This is the update that we posted. That is literally 3 months ago. I mean, December, January, that's kind of a long time. So it's good to hear back from them. And let's see. I mean, Quant didn't leave us in radio silence, obviously, because we did get all the other stuff, which we will go to now. But seeing some developments on the technical side are good. And
it's a little bit sad, really, because back in 2020, when the gateways were coming, I rented the server and started learning and building, and engagement was high. Luke Riley came into the chat. Gilbert was in the chat. Everybody was fired up. A lot of people were motivated, and knowledge and skills not used, they will just die, right? And we're now almost 3 years down the road. I still have my server, which I'm paying like 15 euros a month for. Good thing we now have the quamfyshow.com that we're running on there. But yeah, there's a lot of people that got in there, got their server, did their best to create an MDAP and get registered. And well, right now I'm at a loss of about 500 euros, simply from not running a gateway.
Yeah. And this is something we've been bringing up quite a few times. And I remember somewhere last year, our argument was that if you just leave all these people in the dark,
yeah,
it won't be very nice. But apparently that's what's happening.
Yeah, I was pretty surprised. And then the 3 months of free mainnet access, I felt more and more like, oh well, let's not go there. But it's, I truly hope that they'll be ramping up the conversation through the developers. I think there's a lot of motivated and intellectual people in there, many of which have been in the community for a long time. And I think the vast majority of the long-term people will run a gateway, and they are arguably possibly one of the more read up and motivated people to do this, because Quant was always a little bit more of a technical project than, for instance, a Shiba Inu or a Floki or whatnot. And I think there's a lot of potential within a community to create interesting things. I think a lot of people are pretty well connected to God knows what. So there's a lot of ideas floating around, but everybody keeps everything very close to the vest. I feel, if people are creating it all. So I'm curious to see what you guys will be building. If you have any ideas for an MDAP or something, leave a comment. I'd love to discuss. So to bring it back, right, to the Quant Twitter, not to bash, but just, there's a thing I noticed, and it's pretty annoying to me, and I think they're missing a lot of engagement, which is this this lady right here. This is from Citiam, and there she is again. Again. And I believe she comes 4 times. Yeah. So, and then you see the yellow coming across the screen pretty often. Let's start with the blue. So this is a Quant commercial stablecoins issuance. That's 1. And this is the pictures we're talking right of the tweet. This is 2, 3, 4,
5.
4, right? 5, yeah, 5, 6. And then we're getting to the man with the yellow background from Forbes, how MasterCard, Goldman Sachs, and others. 1. And the green is also 1, 2, and another 2, another green, 3, 3, 4. I think a lot of people don't click or just get bored because of those pictures. And I am not the one that says you need to customize everything for engagement, but I have more often than not saw a tweet come across my screen. I'm like, I already read that. And I just missed the entire message. And maybe I did read it, maybe I didn't. And I know this is automatically generated by Twitter based on the URL where the page is on. But I don't know if that can be fixed, or if they can do something that it makes it all less monotonous. Because yeah, it's I just noticed, which is annoying. Oh, and by the way, if you're an exceptional writer who's passionate about finance and technology and keen to build a career at a scale up where they'll be able to have a huge impact from day one, if that's you, look at the application. We'll put a link in the description. So they're looking for a writer. I already forwarded this to someone that I know, which is, I think, a very cool opportunity. And it would be very interesting to see if somebody from our community would be hired for this. So check out the vacancy or the job. Yeah, that's a job vacancy, right?
Yeah,
check out in the description or on the Quant Network website. Maybe that is you. It's a full-time gig in marketing. So
pretty cool.
Yeah.
And it's kind of, when I saw the latest release notes of 2.224, is that they kind of went into writing, making it a bit less technical. That could actually kind of relate to what we're seeing here from, hey, can you please make our technical stories a bit more legible for everyone? I don't know. I might see patterns here, but it might be a thing. Hey, talking about writing, I am also trying to write every now and then. I'm a terrible writer. I wouldn't apply for this vacancy, but we can at least have a look at it, I think.
Shall we go to price first and then move on to your...
Yeah, sure. Yeah, fair enough.
Usually, in the first 10 minutes, you're the one going to price and market movements.
Yeah, well, I did, but you parked it somewhere halfway in the episode. And we are technically halfway in.
Yeah. So we're here.
Fair enough.
And we're getting here in a bit. We're trying to implement a little bit more structure. So, but Tim is excited because he wrote a very neat blog. So we'll get to it in a bit. So looking at bit, this is Bitcoin. Euros, current price 23,000.
Exactly, and 36 cents.
Not exactly. Let's see what it does in dollars. That's 24,500-ish. So yeah, that's I'm moving back to euros, by the way.
It's not too bad.
No. That's up 13% on the week. And we always look at the 2 weeks, right? Because that's the last update that everybody got from us. I'm sorry for fiddling around with my mic the entire time. If you notice that, so apologies. I hope it doesn't sound too bad. OCD. So looking at the 14 days, we're doing pretty well. Well, at least Bitcoin is. Because 14 days ago it was at 21,624. And now it's actually pretty stable at 23K. Apparently it got rejected a couple of times on the 25K, and that's then dollars, obviously. I don't know what to think about that. A lot of people are saying Bitcoin will die again. We'll see. Do you have an opinion on this, Tim?
Not really. I'll have to see where it goes. I think given current economic conditions and market conditions, it's completely unpredictable. However, I do see that Bitcoin and Ethereum and all the other cryptos, do you call it lags? Like they have quite some lags in a way. They can go up quite easily if you see how far where they come from. So I don't know where we will be going, but we go down to Quant for a bit and look at our own price.
What I find interesting is if we look at 7 days ago, let's say an average of 10% for the top 10 gains.
Yeah.
Maybe a bit more. And then also you look at the graphs, it's been pretty stable for the past week, right? Almost boring. You can see the leg up for the BNBs and the Ethereum, the Bitcoin, and then it kind of stabilized, which is a lot better than Litecoin, than what happened with the previous with the previous pumps.
And I'm not sure how this correlates then to the AI coins, because last couple of weeks we were in that hype. I'm not sure how they are doing. Could very well be that they're still doing well and that the general market is now also going up. I really don't know. I think everything kind of stabilized for a bit, but you never know in crypto at the moment. you are hearing this, the situation could very well be different.
Yeah.
I've heard some Binance FUD today again. That Binance might fall. So there's still a lot of uncertainty. We'll have
is
to
that
see where it
because
goes.
Binance is allegedly using BUSD to pump up Bitcoin so they can
I'm
sell
not
their
sure.
Bitcoin? Yeah, I heard this. Where I read this, I can remember. Apparently, Binance is being accused of using their BNB or BUSD, of which they have full control, to buy up Bitcoin, dump Bitcoin, then buy Bitcoin back with USDT for profits and fill their pockets in that way. So manipulating the market with tokens that they create for themselves. So they inflate their token, and then they apparently use those to buy other tokens, and those tokens don't get dumped. I know it's way too technical for me, but it sounded terrible to me. And I wouldn't put it past CZ.
Yeah, honestly, I don't know, but I wouldn't store my crypto on Binance anyway.
Yeah,
But hey, if they fall, we will be back in another episode of FUD and FUD busting.
Yeah.
If you look at our sorry.
No, maybe we can get to 20.
Yeah, or
Quant.
10.
Yeah, there's still people calling for 20 euros on Quant. It's pretty amazing.
I think it's less than 6 months until the 15 euro mark gets in sight. We're getting
Yeah,
okay.
and if it does, if it doesn't hit, we're getting one QNT each, right?
Yeah, we do.
Anyway, Quant is a little bit interesting to me. Quant is down to position 38 on CoinGecko. And we used to hover around position 29. And so we dropped like 10 spots. For what it's worth, market cap still 1.8 billion in euros. Sorry for yawning, guys. Keep yawning. Yeah, so that's $2 billion in dollars. So market cap wise, it's fine, right? Maybe it's just an inflation correction that went.
If you look at the market cap, it's actually quite scary, like how you get accustomed to such high market caps. Like for me now, 120, 130 euro or dollar in Quant feels, it's not low, but it's not high at the same time. But if you think about the fully diluted market cap, or the market cap for however you calculate it, then it feels pretty high. But then if you put it in perspective, I think we only have a market dominance of like 0.14%. Those 0.14 or something, like very low.
Is it that high? You're supposed to be able to see that, right? Yeah, market dominance 0.172, so almost 0.2% market dominance.
Yeah,
that's hilarious.
That's nothing. Yeah.
I think if you look at the market dominance in the real world, how much would it be?
In the real world, it would be much higher.
Yeah,
that's hilarious if you think about it. So then we have a lot of space to grow. Yeah. So
right now above us is ApeCoin, Hedera, Kronos, Near, VeChain, Lido, Monero, Ethereum Classic, Chainlink, Toncoin, and there's a lot of stable coins in here, by the way, which is interesting because you look at Tether, that's 1, USD, that's 2, then we got Binance USD, that's 3, DAI is 4. I thought the other day I saw another new one, but apparently I was wrong.
You can turn those off, right? The stable coins.
Oh, really?
I'm not sure where, but I think it's possible.
Interesting.
No.
Okay.
Or it's in CoinMarketCap, I'm not sure. Anyway,
I thought there were more, that there was another. It could have died already. I was like, that's interesting. That's a new stable coin. Oh,
Yeah.
I was probably wrong. Or it
But-
doesn't look very stable. That's also possible. Anyway.
If we just look at the market right now and the feeling that I have, that they call it like boarding, right? So that we're going on a nice high level and then suddenly it starts dropping out of nowhere because something happens. That's kind of the feeling I have right now. Like a fake stable movement. But we'll have to see. We'll probably be in a different situation next week and we'll see where it goes. I don't know. I'm feeling kind of neutral at these price levels, which is comfortable, I guess.
Yeah, I agree.
Because this time around we are around the $130, $140, but a Bitcoin at around 20K. That's pretty good. Last time we were around these levels, Bitcoin was in the 40K mark, so double the money.
Yeah.
We'll see where we go.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely feeling more comfy now than in the past. When you look at it from that perspective.
Tim, your precious gem that you wrote on the quamfyshow.com. And then click on the blogs page so you can find it there. It's number 3. It's called the Interoperable Source of Scarcity.
Yeah.
Right, Tim? And Tim, take us through it.
I will. So basically I'm doing these blogs on the website. And well, I didn't really post anything anymore since Christmas Day, 25th of December. So I figured, hey, I have time on my hands right now. I'm not assigned, so I do have time to write something. And I wanted to do something on the tokenomics because, well, in January, we had these developments around the total supply, which changed. And I did write things in the past about tokenomics. It didn't change. It didn't change. I'm sorry for that. Our perception of the supply changed. Sorry about that.
The representation of the actual numbers in circulation. That's, I think, the nuance.
Exactly. Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
So one way or the other, things have changed in our knowledge. And I figured that, hey, there are only a few articles, as you can see in the piece I wrote. It's in orange. And they link to CryptoSec, who has done some stuff on the tokenomics. I was like, hey, I might want to be updating it a little bit since some things have changed since then. So I basically recaptured briefly what QNT does, how we should see it in the Overledger ecosystem, and I'm comparing it to a festival token. So I took the part that I wrote in the ebook and that chapter, and there I kind of compared QNT to, well, basically the currency on the festival. Of everything you want to do there, you will need the festival token to kind of pay for it. And I'm also explaining that we have the 18 decimals and how all that stuff works. So that it's kind of rare that you can only do stuff on Overledger with QNT. That's what I'm doing here. I'm also doing giving you some information on.
And what's interesting is that this festival, right? That festival is not on the Ethereum blockchain, and that's really important because that's always been a major piece of FUD for the uninitiated. Is like, how can Quant scale infinitely if it is on the Ethereum blockchain? And the token is on the blockchain. That is true. Yet the business end, right, is a thing in itself. Like a festival has its own rules, has its own pace, and its own economy. So it is not limited by any of the limitations
exactly
that Ethereum has.
Yeah,
that's why the analogy works really well.
Yeah. So yeah, I just gave some background on also, well, the token generation event, the ICO, all the stuff from the past. You can also see that I'm still in the old part. I'm still talking about 14.6 million QNT. And then I am correcting myself. Hey, this isn't necessarily correct anymore because since the time I wrote it, things have changed. So I'm presenting the new number here. and I'm giving you the documentation to verify it for yourself. I mean, the listeners of the Quamfy Show know that. We've all seen the episode with Greg, and I'm also posting both the episode and his documentation of how to reach that new number. So you can just verify it. I just wanted to have it on the internet written in clear next to all the stuff you already did.
Yeah.
Then I'm also making comparison to other cryptos, such as Bitcoin, which have a total supply of around 21 million, or we also have these cryptos which are going into the billions. And then I'm saying, hey, this is kind of interesting because we only have around 14.8 million something. And we need to take into account, and I've already said something about the licenses that happen, but also the very fact of how Overledger is working and functioning, that we need those remote connector gateways to actually let the network function. And then I'm making all the arguments to why that is important. Installing trust in the network, getting people into it. That's what I'm doing in this text. It's kind of dated with the ideas that we have had in the past. So I'm also saying that at the end, like, hey, this kind of dated information. However, this is the model that we know. This is the design that we are aware of as how it should function. And then no matter how you look at it, that is a pretty good argument to argue that QNT will be very scarce and that there will not be a lot of QNT. And some people have obviously also spoken about a supply shock. I'm saying in the part that in this piece that I wrote, like, yeah, I don't really believe in a supply shock, but we will see increasing scarcity, and that the amount of people who have a high number of QNT will drop, and it will be divided among all the participants. And no way, no matter how you look at it, it will become even more scarce over the future. That's the entire point I'm making.
What is interesting, and what I want to add, I've been thinking about this, right? We're always talking about the low supply that QNT has, which is true. Bitcoin also has a low supply. Those numbers are really important when you're early. The later you get, the more irrelevant the total amount of tokens gets. Think of Bitcoin, think of QNT. Quant is more scarce than Bitcoin. We know what we own when it comes to QNT. I can never, ever, well, that's not true. It's very unlikely that I would have the money to buy the same amount of Bitcoin right now as I have the amount of money to buy QNT in the same amount. Does that make sense? Because Bitcoin price is way higher. So getting like, let's call it 100, right? So getting 100 Bitcoin, that will set you back, what, 4 million? Or what is it? 2 million right now?
I think, yeah, 2 million. Yeah.
But getting 100 QNT right now, that would be what? 10K? Yeah.
12K.
So, and that's because you're early right now, right? There's very few wallets, and you can still get a lot of whole tokens. But there will come a point in our opinion that Quant will reach the same prices. So if Quant reaches the same price as Bitcoin right now, and you can only invest, let's say for the average person, an average amount of money, then the supply doesn't matter anymore. If I would have bought Bitcoin for the amount of money that I bought QNT, I would probably have 1 Bitcoin. Does that make sense? And even though the supply is really stupidly low, with only 21 million to ever be in existence, Bitcoin will never ever do the multiple that it did before. I don't see that. I don't see Bitcoin going over 40 million a token. I think that's very unlikely. So by then, the supply doesn't matter anymore because everything is being done in sats, right? And that's the same, I think, with QNT. Eventually, the token supply doesn't matter anymore. The same is that it doesn't matter to people that are really early in shitcoins. I mean, you can get a shitcoin with a supply of 1 billion, or you can get early into a shitcoin with the lower supply. The market cap is eventually what scales everything, and what determines price and determines how much you can get of everything.
No.
And that's again when it gets a little bit murky again, because then it gets like all these different variables like time and supply, etc. But the point I was trying to make is if you're really early and you can secure a lot of tokens, then the low supply is beneficial. If you're going to get like when it's heyday, right? When everything is already operational and the quant price is where we think it will go, then it doesn't matter anymore if the supply is high or low. Does that make sense a bit, Tim?
It does. Yeah, I mean, it's always obvious that you are in a project,
yeah,
the more profit you will make. I think everything has kind of been said about, well, how obvious it is.
Yeah.
With Quant. But it's just what makes it so different is just the entire design of everything, right? So
yeah, for sure.
It's been very, very thoroughly been thought through. And it just makes perfect sense. I think we were mostly talking about Overledger itself. And we should sometimes also look back at, well, how brilliantly this is designed, even though we've had radio silence about it for a bit. Token not needed, thoughts with Carlo Colista. But yeah, in essence, this is still where it comes down to. And that's just the point I'm trying to make in this piece.
I just realized, by the way, it's with the adoption of anything, right? With the smartphone, if you designed the first smartphone that got adopted, you made a ton of money. But if you're now getting those same smartphone companies, you're not going to earn as much in appreciation for the company as you would back then, right? So being early, being new is more important than eventually what how many items or units there are, I think. Anyway, it's all percentages, right? In the end, or multiples. Tim, please finish your story.
Yeah. So I've referenced that entire piece that I wrote earlier. And I'm saying, well, we have this mechanism here with remote connector gateways, and that is a way to make money. That's what makes it so valuable. However, as we pointed out in the Dutch episode of last week, and that's not what I'm necessarily saying in the text, but I think we need to address here too and make a point, is that we're not talking about staking. So in the piece above, I was still talking about staking just for convenience reasons. Like it's the only way to kind of get everyone on board. But if you look at it from a technical and legal perspective, we are not necessarily talking about staking. Because, well, I put an article in there referencing to what staking exactly is, but it boils down to the fact that in the literal definition of staking, you're talking about getting a fixed amount of income for locking your tokens. And that is not the case with remote connector gateways. It's not a staking mechanism. But the question is, and we've had this discussion in Dutch last week, what do we call it then? And Jarno might elaborate a little bit more on it. But as we also know, is that Quant has never, ever mentioned staking in their official line of communications for reasons that we will talk about later in this episode. But yeah, I think it's relevant.
Yeah, the stake thing, it could be called semantics, right? But there's a very, very important distinction to make. And sorry, I zoned out a little bit.
We all do sometimes.
Yeah, but Quant will never ever call what they do staking. And here's why. We'll get to that first. We Googled it. So what is staking in crypto? And this source is the Motley Fool. They have a lot of things about investing, and we also have a source from Coinbase. Stake is what you heard about a lot. They made a video, and Tim, you captured it really well in the beginning. It's guaranteed returns, right?
Yeah.
So staking is you put your tokens in a protocol or in a contract or whatever, and you know for certain you're getting a minimum yield, right? And the yield is technically the same for everybody. So it is like dividends or like interest. And this makes a lot of coins and tokens securities. For tax reasons, it could, depending on where you live, also make things a lot more difficult, because if it's a guaranteed return, it could be taxed as such. I invite you to look at the articles and look that up. But there's always a connotation with the word staking. There's a lot of staking protocols are just inflation models, right? So if you're getting 10, 15, 20% of yield year over year, most of the time that is the same amount of tokens that they are releasing, unlocking, mining, creating, whatever you want to call it. It is rare that a yield that high does not coincide with inflation of some sort.
No.
So it's technically not really gains that you're making, and most of the time the project is just making the money and not the investor, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, regulation is not very clear as to what is permissible and what is not, and the term staking is misused a lot.
And I'm thinking of it, and I'm not sure if this fits the definition, but isn't staking a lot of times related to also unlocking the total supply, so that you are part of the network, and in turn for that you're getting the total supply will be slowly unlocked and brought to your wallet? Or is that not necessarily the case? I'm not sure. Because with Quant, everything is unlocked already.
Yeah. Not sure
so that would
either.
Also be a difference.
Not sure either. But there's a very important nuance, and that is that if you run a remote connector gateway, you are not guaranteed to get paid, right? You need to provide a service, and that service is providing bandwidth as well as forwarding messages. Those are technically the same. So you're part of the consensus mechanism, and you're part of the decentralization of the network. You have control over your payment channels. That's what it's called. This is all 2020 information. This could potentially change, but you open up a payment channel and you have an operator address and a QNT address, and your QNT address is your quote unquote stake. And that's how Gilbert referred to staking, as that the remote connector gateway system has staking-esque features, right? So you're locking your QNT in your QNT address, and that is your stake. That's your allocation of bandwidth, and that gives you certain prerogatives on a network, some bandwidth extra, etc. There's a lot going on there. And then you have your operator address. Your operator address is where a minor amount of QNT is in there. And the purpose of that is to facilitate transactions, and you can get penalized for malicious behavior. And that is also the address where your payments will come into, if I'm not mistaken. So you get paid a fraction or percentage of the transactions that you process. So that's not a guaranteed return. Same goes, you can upgrade, that's also 2020 information, your tier of your gateway, right? You can have tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, depending on how many blockchain nodes you connect, etc. And that all has to do with the yield you're getting in return. So that's not staking, that's something else, which is interesting. But what we noticed is Quant wants to distance themselves as much as possible from the crypto game and the crypto lingo. And we are looking right now at the fintech marketing hub, where CMO Andrew Carrier, CMO of Quant, talks about their sideboss marketing, right? We had the FUD, Quant didn't have a booth, and oh, look, they were outside, whatever. Now, well, apparently there was a business strategy going on there, and he explains it in this article. Highly encourage you to read this and familiarize yourself with the way Quant is looking at things and doing things. And it was also interesting when I spoke to Gilbert there. He said as much as this, right? They were walking around and they were just they had full control over what they did there. They could determine themselves to whom they are going to speak and who they want to approach. And if you have a booth, you're just locked into your booth, and you need to wait until people come to you. And in this way, you have a lot of initiative. There's a lot more going on than reach the eye, and it's a lot cheaper than getting a booth at the premier fintech event of the world. So there's one thing that stood out to me. Well, there's a couple of things that stood out in this article, but this is really important. And I'm going to read this entire bit for your convenience. So there's a question here. For Quant's participation at Cyboss last year, you adopted a rather unusual event marketing strategy. Can you please provide a brief overview of what your strategy was all about? And Andrew answers, when you line us up next to the behemoths of the financial world that make up the bulk of Cyboss exhibitors, Quant is a relatively unknown brand. But that was just one part of our challenge. The other element is that our business, making blockchain for finance easy, is not well understood. Indeed, there's still a healthy degree of skepticism amongst some of the Cyboss audience about whether it's even a thing. We're effectively creating a market from scratch, and if that wasn't enough of a challenge, there is a final fly in the ointment. Too often when we say blockchain, people hear quote unquote crypto. We need to dissociate ourselves from an application of blockchain technology that we are not involved in.
Exactly.
Yeah, so Andrew said, we need to dissociate ourselves from an application of blockchain technology that we're not involved in. So they are not involved in crypto. And I think this is interesting. And as we said, it's in the Dutch episode as well. I have a little bit of a new insight on this after speaking with Bas, is that of course they are involved in crypto, right? Think of the release notes the other day. There you have Ethereum, Bitcoin, Ripple, Polkadot, blah, 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 and all the other suspects. So they are involved in crypto, but they have to in a way because they are an interoperability provider. Yet they do not engage or service crypto as other cryptos do, right? So they are utilizing the technology and they're making it accessible to enterprise. So instead of them looking down on crypto. They're looking up to the companies, and they're the hub targeting. So it's all about the target audience, right? A lot of crypto companies have as a target audience us, the crypto folk, wanting to get rich from crypto investing, speculation, etc. Stacking. But what they're doing is they are targeting the oracles of this world, the banks of this world, the governments of this world, and they are servicing them. They are offering them a DLT solution that they can pick and choose from. It's like a DLT buffet, right? Already 9 public blockchains are now connected and available, and that is what they are about. So yes, they need to dissociate themselves from an application of blockchain technology that we're not involved in. And in this case, in my opinion, that application where they want to dissociate themselves from is the investment part. They want nothing to do with people getting rich. They don't care. And Gilbert said that in an interview with the Dutch guy. The Dutch interviewer asked him at Cybos in 2019, do you invest in crypto yourself? And then Gilbert says, no, I just create the technology for it. And I think that is the bottom line. So they need to dissociate from the application of crypto. And this goes for me hand in hand with the staking part. If they offer staking, then they are servicing us, the gambling degenerates. That is also why I think that they do not comment on the token anymore, that they don't use the cash tag anymore, that all those things, that they dissociate themselves as much as possible. But it's the CMO, right? It's the chief marketing. He's like shoulder to shoulder with Gilbert on almost everything. And I mean, hierarchically speaking. So this is not just some dude just saying something. This is their core value and their core conviction and their strategy. And that's really important. So calling it staking is categorically wrong. So now, because we are the degens and we are here for the price appreciation, even though I love following all these developments, still in it for the money to the grid. In it for the tech. In it for the tech. So on the tech side of things, we need to discuss, and I highlighted here, operating a remote connector gateway should be called what? Because it is categorically not staking. We did some very quick brainstorming. Are we calling operating a remote connector gateway RCGing? That's option number 1. Do we call it operating, like the operators in the military, but then in this case operating? But maybe call it channeling, because you open up a payment channel and it gets closed and then you get paid, and in the meantime you do overledgery thingies.
Yeah.
Or let's just call it stacking with CK, because that's what all the translating computers make out of it. Or you have a better suggestion. That's option 5. So 1, RCGing, 2, operating, 3, channeling, 4, let's just call it stacking, and 5, I have a better suggestion. We are curious because I think we need a word.
Yeah, we do.
Because,
and we will be putting a poll on Twitter about this.
Yeah.
So as soon as this is live, you will see the poll and you can vote.
Yeah.
And then we will see what you guys come up with. And we will be very interested in that. Hey, if we go back to the article.
Hold on, let me add a little bit, because it would be very cool if we can get consensus on this within the community, because we had the same discussion back in 2020 with how do we call a 1/18th of a QNT, right? So the 18th decimal, because sats comes from Satoshis, and that's 1/8 of a Bitcoin. Bitcoin is 8 decimals or 12. 8, right?
12? I think 12.
Yeah, whatever. But we get to the consensus. We call them verdients, right? So it would be cool if we can get the same like this for
8.
Yeah.
It's 8.
yeah.
8 decimals.
Yeah. So it would be cool if we can get something like this from the community. How do you call that? If you operate a gateway, if you're a remote connector gateway operator. Or
It's called a fantasy because they will never go live.
RCGO? Are we going? Gateway operating? I don't know. Hive mind, do your thing. Tim, where do you want me to take you?
Back to the article from
Yes.
Andrew.
Yes, we are here.
So, yeah, so they kind of wanted to lay out how their marketing strategy works. And then it boils down to a couple of pillars. So the first is education, the second one is positioning, and the third one is punching above your weight. So you can take over now and elaborate on what Andrew said here.
Punching above your weight class.
It's relevant and important.
That's interesting for some Quant team members.
We'll go there. I think, no, but I think this, oh dear. Let's not do this.
Someone was tweeting about eating croquettes in Belgium.
Who?
Andrew was in Belgium. He was looking for the best croquette in Belgium, in Brussels.
We have already called another influencer a cholesterol ball in the past. This way. Hey, first education. So yeah, their first point is education. Meant avoiding us. Sorry, I need to enlarge my screen here for a bit.
Oh yeah, let me zoom in.
No, it's fine. I can perfectly read it. Education meant avoiding a salesy approach in favor of relying on valuable editorial content that genuinely informed, inspired, and entertained. If we didn't contribute to the Cybus dialogue in a meaningful way, we would have missed the mark. Yeah, so kind of school the people you're talking to and not pushing too aggressively. Positioning implied claiming our grounds, articulating exactly what makes Quant different. We landed on the concept of institutional digital assets. We're not involved nor interested in crypto or NFTs, but rather grown-up, real-world applications of blockchain technology for regulated financial firms, whether they be in payments or capital markets. And the third one is punching above our weight. Was a recognition that we simply don't yet have the brand equity or the marketing budget of the Deutsche Banks or IBMs of this world. So we had to be very focused in terms of where we put direct our efforts for the biggest impact. Yeah, this makes perfect sense if you ask me. Right?
Yeah.
School the people you're talking to, position yourself well as not some kind of sketchy crypto company, and also think very carefully of how you're going to do it, because obviously you don't have the full budget to get a Cybus booth, do whatever. You need to be very smart with how you do it. And I
mean, they probably could, but why would they, right?
Yeah, it wouldn't make much sense. I think they are still kind of relatively unknown. I mean, they're not unknown, as I think that the tech guys in most firms will know them, but I think that your regular banker or director has no clue that it's being used. I mean, who cares about it? I mean, who effectively cares about the technology at the end of the day, as long as it just works. It should just work, right?
Yeah.
Most boomers in senior positions don't even know how to use their phone, let alone.
And trust me, Cybus was littered with boomers. My God.
Yeah. So those people, they just want stuff to work, and it shouldn't bother them. And the smoother it is, the better. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's pretty nice, and it's a nice insight into what Quant is doing.
Yeah.
Are we going deeper into this article?
No.
Or okay.
No. What? How long are we here for now?
We're here for 1 hour, 18 minutes and 50 seconds.
Yeah, that's wonderful, man. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
I think this was a very packed episode already. I think we covered everything we wanted to cover.
I think so, yeah.
So I want to leave it at this, or do you have anything else to add, Tim?
Not necessarily. Let me check the groups we have on Telegram. We might have skimmed over.
Maybe we have an interesting ad. Yeah, it's save your subscription. Oh, fuck that.
I'm gonna briefly open Telegram for a bit. So this is Vision Quamfy Show.
We are now both scrolling on our cell phones.
No, I'm actually scrolling in Telegram web.
In the meantime, while you are waiting for us to get our affairs in order, hit that like button, right? Give us a like, give us a comment. If you are on Spotify and you are listening right now, and you're driving, please just keep driving.
Yeah, don't go on.
Yeah, but do subscribe to us, right? We can use all the support that we can get, and if you could save like 5 minutes of your time and write a comment, give some feedback, that'd be so amazing. If you have any questions or any topics you want us to cover or address, let us know. If you want to be on the show, you are more than welcome. We can do it face on, we can do it face off. You can have your voice scrambled, most likely. I don't know. Have to figure that out. We could probably do that.
We probably can.
Yeah. So
I've seen those. That's pretty scary. Actually, it's funny as well. We could use an AI for that. I'm now seeing these videos where they take famous people and use their voice and then make like that they're playing a video game like CSGO or Call of Duty together, and they're all in the same voice chat, and it's hilarious. Yeah, sorry, that's my random thoughts. But we can do a lot, probably. We can give you the voice of a famous person, probably.
Now I feel old. Come on.
Yeah, okay.
Invest in some QNT tokens.
We can do that. Yeah, I'm just looking at our
buy them all.
Buy them. Yeah. No, I'm looking at our group, and I think we've kind of covered everything. There was a little bit about SATP again, but I think we've covered that as well. So
yeah,
I'm calling it an episode.
All right.
There's not that much to discuss anymore.
Well,
I'll see you in 2 weeks.
While I'm polishing my phone cover for some reason during the episode. Thank you so much for watching, listening, engaging. We love you all. Quamfy times ahead. Stay Quamfy, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Back in English. Stay Quamfy.